What's up, guys? Welcome to the Kingdom Men Transfer Man Nation, brought to you by our sponsor, the Acquisition CEO, who can help you acquire a business if you're curious enough. Today, I've got a really good friend and business partner of mine with me, Cameron Ledford, on the podcast, the Kingdom Men Transfer Man Nation. Cameron, tell us a little bit about what you do for a living.
Yeah, so Cameron Ledford, I own Ledford Billiard Supply. I do a lot of other things, real estate investments. I've been founders on a couple different other companies. I call myself a high-ticket hustler. That's the sexy description. The boring one is the long list of resume items.
24/7 entrepreneur.
Yeah, it never stops, right?
Right.
We're always going. I know you know all about that.
Yeah. So a couple of startups, done a couple of development projects, some real estate investing, really leveled up in the billiards business over the last probably 2 years. Let's talk a little bit about that. Entrepreneurship it's not as complicated as people think, but it's also not as sexy as people think. It's simple.
That's true.
And not complicated, but usually those simple things aren't like, hey, I got a billboard, or hey, I got my truck wrapped. Usually it's more like, hey, I got that deal done on a phone call, or somebody walked into the showroom. Let's talk about a couple of stories. First off, tell us your most exciting showroom story.
All right, so obviously everybody knows of the infamous price objection. Probably one of my favorite showroom stories is I like to take control of most sales just because that's where I got my start. I was started in retail sales, and now with my own company, I love the sales part of it, and sales kind of gets a bad rap. But in the showroom, so we had a client come in. This wasn't too long ago. This was last year, and my guys are watching. They're kind of hanging out. We don't really have much going on that day, and I'm pitching them a table, and they're like, it's a little bit more than we want. And so I'm like, all right, sales system. I got a 5-step sales system I teach on, and I'm like, all right, I've qualified this customer wrong.
Right.
I'm presenting them a wrong product. They're hitting me with this price objection.
So real quick, hold that thought. I just want everybody to know that he said he has a sales system, which means that you've studied something. We'll come back to that in a minute. Keep trucking.
Yeah. So they come in and they're like, hey, Cameron, this table's a little bit more than I was looking to spend. And so I requalify them. I go back to it's our second step, and I'm requalifying them and asking them questions, and I find out that what they're actually looking for is to win a competition in their neighborhood. And the table that I was pitching them was $7,000, but they didn't feel like it was going to win them the competition.
That's funny.
And I didn't catch that until the end of the conversation and after I'd closed the deal, but they ended up buying a pool table and shuffleboard, custom made. It was like a $30,000 ticket.
Oh, wow.
They wrote me a $15,000 deposit check right there. Closed it. It was like a 3-hour process, but all my guys saw that. And so they got to experience firsthand when somebody hits you with a price objection, you're either presenting them the wrong product or you've qualified them incorrectly.
That's so strong right there. A lot of times people want to come up with stuff to sell, but nobody wants to buy it. And I think that a lot of entrepreneurs do themselves a disservice by not figuring out if there's a market for a product. Yeah, it's great to invent something or create something or a service or start a business, but if you're not good at selling it, which we talk about that a lot, one of the number one jobs of an entrepreneur is to generate sales, right? To generate revenue, generate leads.
Most definitely.
And I was talking with Jeremy about that earlier, about how that was actually one of his biggest struggles was paying attention. It's easy to pay attention to the bottom line, is what it is, expenses. But it's the opportunity to generate revenue where people really start to struggle, and they forget that it's relationship marketing, right? We should all always be in marketing. It's like Jesus calls us all to be disciples. We should all be in marketing as entrepreneurs in some shape, form, or capacity. We should be telling people what we do. I use the old redneck adage, like, you can't catch fish if you ain't fishing, right? But how many people do you know that have a business and you don't even know what they do? Or they come up to you, or you meet somebody and you say, hey, what do you do? And they're like, hey, I got this business. You're like, cool, hey. And you go to their Facebook page and it ain't got nothing to do with anything that they do. Yeah. And I think it's
they're fishing without bait.
Yeah, they're fishing. They're barely fishing. Yeah,
they got a line in the water, but
they ain't got no bait on it. And the hook's dull, right? They're fishing with a toothpick or something.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. So earlier you had said that you have a sales system, which means kind of tying back to that point where we were talking about learning sales, generating revenue. What does that look like? So obviously that means that you had to spend time. You didn't just start a business.
Right.
You went above and beyond that. You had to start to spend time or investing your time in learning something. Yes. Now, I'll tell you, there's paid mentors out there. There's free mentoring programs out there. There's tons of information on YouTube and Instagram and all that kind of stuff, which is a great resource. But talk to us a little bit about what made you click and go, you know what, I need to learn some more about this so that I can sell some pool tables. What was that? What'd that look like?
So for me, I started working at GNC as a sales rep.
Retail sales.
Retail sales, selling supplements, right?
Yep.
And I had the ability to kind of connect the dots because I had a marketing company on the side at the same time, and I really fell in love with sales. I went to school as an undecided major, and I fell in love with marketing and found out, that's communication. Well, okay, now this all falls into sales.
Yeah.
And so while I'm at GNC, I'm like, I picked up on, I probably had 20, 30 people coming in every single day. So I got to get a lot of reps in. And then I found out like I was very competitive and I'm pretty good at this and I'm naturally kind of good at this. But then also I kept running through my brain. Like I studied Grant Cardone and he would always be like, record your pitches. Go back, watch yourself, critique yourself. Where did you lose control? Where did the pitch kind of like the vibe kind of like stall out?
Right.
And so that's what I would do is I had a camera and I would put it in the corner and I'd watch myself. I'd turn my phone on record and I would go back and listen to this and I'd be like, ugh,
sounds terrible.
I lost them right
So you
there.
practiced.
I practiced, yeah.
So you learned, you practiced. Okay, keep going.
And then basically I would critique myself. But then I would also you had smoothie associates in there too. Yeah. And so they would do the smoothies. And so I would tell them, I'm like, hey, like, watch me because where do you think I lost it? Why didn't I close that deal?
Right.
Or why do you think
so
I
you were
closed
asking for criticism. And a lot of people, they make that mistake. They don't want to be criticized. And I can guarantee you that if you put yourself out there in any entrepreneurship position or sales position, you're going to be criticized by somebody. Quick tie back to what you had said earlier, though, talking about sales. So obviously you love sales. You have a passion for sales. You've been studying sales for a long time. But you said something earlier I want to catch back on, and it's that most people, you said something about most people hate sales guys or most people hate sales. And I think that that's such a bad stigma because I think that sales is probably the number one most underrated opportunity on the planet that is underrated or under reviewed or like people don't talk about it enough. I mean, you can go into window sales, solar sales, roofing sales, real estate sales, HVAC sales, pool tables. You can go into car sales. You can go into any sales opportunity and learn how to generate your own income. And I think that's the hard piece of it is a lot of people don't understand that they get to control it, right? At a job, you don't.
Yep.
You're out. But when sales, which entrepreneurship really is sales, which I would encourage anybody to check out Cameron, Grant Cardone, any of those guys, any quick tips.
Andy Elliott,
Patrick Bell, Patrick Bet-David. Yeah, who else you got? Valuetainment.
So that's Patrick Bet-David's channel. If you're getting into business and you're looking to do entrepreneurship, and you don't follow Valuetainment, it's kind of like you're walking with crutches. Like, go ahead, get the training wheels off, go to Valuetainment. He has everything you could ever think of. And then it's Patrick Bet-David. He's got a podcast. He's a great guy.
He's a good guy and a smart guy.
Super smart guy.
Yeah. So a couple of quick drops on some content and channels for you guys to follow that'll make a difference in your life. Like I guarantee you, we become what we consume. So if you consume bull crap in your life in your spare time, that's spending. That's what goes into your head. But when we consume good content or educational or inspirational or motivational content or spiritual content, when we consume things that allow us to grow, then we grow. Excuse me. Real quick, though, that's the difference between wasting time and investing time. Our time is just like money. A lot of people think about, I'll invest my money. But they don't ever really think about, I'll invest my time. But think about the time that you spent watching those videos or listening to those guys to sell a $30,000 order out of somebody that walked into your showroom.
Right.
It was for that moment.
It was for that moment, but it took years to get up to that point. Like, it happened so easy, almost instinctual. Like, I did a lot of things that I look back, because we have cameras in the showroom, so I still do this today. Like, I'll go back, I close a big deal, I'll go back and watch, or I'll lose a deal. I watch more losses than I do, like, successes, because, like, I can see my weakness. Yeah. But really, when it comes down to that, it's the repetition, right? Like, studying that, practicing that. I watch Cardone University every day. I watch at least 2 videos a day, but compounding that over years and with the desire to improve every single day. So that's something I picked up 10 years ago. It started with fitness, where I was just seeking 1%. It's kind of like cliche now. Everybody says that. Back then, there was nobody saying that. Right. But I just wanted to be 1% better tomorrow. I had this thing. It was like, the next time I see myself in the mirror, I want to be better than the last time I saw myself in the mirror. And it started with fitness, and then it was like, okay, well, once I got the body I wanted, then it was like, all right, now I need to, like, articulate myself, because I had a really Southern accent. I grew up in Marietta. I was a country boy.
Right.
And so then I was like, all right, well, I'm going to read. And then I started saying these little things to get like the tone out of my voice. And slowly but surely it fell into sales. And now that, like, when I got to a sales job, I was like, all right, well, how do I become 1% better tomorrow? Well, I sold 2 deals today. Let me sell 3.
Yeah.
Can I sell 4? Can I have 90% close rate? You know, we're closing at like 60, 70% at GNC, and we're competing. We're getting these margin reports. Like, I'm trying to be number 1.
So what's funny is I bet most retail sales guys don't know what a sales ratio is or a close ratio. What's funny is you are the guy at the desk, and you were inside of your head hustling so hard, you knew what your close ratio was.
Yeah.
Most people don't even know what that means, which, by the way, close ratio, for simple reasons or whatever, we'll edit this, but close ratio is the number of people that you talk to versus the number of people that you close a deal with, right?
Yep.
So that's your close ratio. You do the math there, and you can be at 50%, you can be at 60%. The better your close ratio gets, the less people that you have to speak to. So
Right.
Sales and business and entrepreneurship really is just a math problem. And if anybody ever has questions about that, hit me up on Kingdom Men Transfer Man Nation Facebook group. We can talk about that, about how do you back the math into a business plan. We've also got the Power Panel coming up this week. On Thursday, We'll be having one of those every quarter and looking at taking that platform around to other towns. Real quick, Cameron sits with me on the Power Panel program, and we're taking that. Basically, it's an open Q&A where we want to get entrepreneurs into the room with other entrepreneurs and answer questions and help each other out. One of the things that's been on my mind a lot this year, even though it's been short so far, is like we should require greatness out of each other. We should hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
We should be pulling each other up out of the ditches, right? When you're down, I ought to be there grabbing you by the hand and pulling you up. Same thing when I'm down, when I'm having a day, we ought to be saying, hey, man, let's go make today as great as we possibly can.
Let's go be great.
Yeah, that's what Cameron always says. Let's go be great.
Yeah, so I say that it's in those moments where it's like you're actually about to do something that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
That you know maybe you want to do it, but maybe you know it's going to be difficult. Yeah. Like, all right, I got a 22-hour day ahead of me. I got to drive 22 hours. All right, let's go be great. Because, like, greatness is the only thing you can expect out of that.
That's
I
right.
know, like, for my landscape company I had earlier, like years ago, we were cutting this one field. It was 7 acres, but about 4 of it had to be weed eated because they had terraces. So you couldn't get a mower on it. And I just remember the guy I was working with at the time, like, we would get out there and we would start and we would just laugh uncontrollably for 2 hours of just because we couldn't believe here we are getting paid and we're out here weed eating terraces that are huge bundles. It's not like grass. These are like bushes. So we've got the blade on the end and we're just slinging it just back and
hacking
away. And you had to hit it hard because if not, like, it wouldn't cut it. So it's very physically demanding, and we're just laughing uncontrollably because what else can you do?
Right.
I can't make excuses. It's against my philosophies. I can't complain. Well, the only thing I can do is laugh, and you would be surprised in those moments of suck, laughing, how much better and how much faster things go.
So that ties back into one of the things we want to talk about, mindset and perspective, which I think, excuse me, our perspective is powerful, and our mind is a powerful tool. I always say our mind and our mouth determine our destination. They're the rudder of our lives, and they really are. I mean, if you think about it and you see the way that other people perceive things, and you see the way they handle things, or you see the way they navigate a challenge, there obviously is something different.
Right.
Even people that make $1 million a day, there is something wired different. And I think anybody can learn those skill sets, but it really is about being committed. Like you were committed to the process of learning sales and all that, even on your own as a retail sales guy, which has made you much more effective as a business owner. But a lot of people just don't want to spend that time investing in themselves. Sure. You know, they want to wake up and have it tomorrow or have those sales skills tomorrow without knocking 50 doors or without screwing it up a million times. And I'd read something the other day. I made a Facebook post, and it said, failure, what did it say? Failure isn't a destination, or what did it say? Failure is an event. Failure is an event, not a destination.
Yeah.
It's true. Failure comes. It's only a matter of time before we go, hey, we screwed something up. It's human nature. But what we do with it next, I think, really says a lot about, you know, our placement and our mindset and our disciplines in our life. It's about, okay, are we going to embrace this and carry on? We're going to continue to weed eat for 2 hours and get this job done? Or are we going to be like, I'm done. Like, I oversold the job. I'm out.
Yeah. Walk away. And then now it feels even worse. But then also too, you're at, Like I could have got that done.
Right.
Now you're living with that.
Oh, don't be one of those what if guys.
I could have done that.
Could have. I always think about that in life, looking back when we get older. You know, I don't want to live my life going, I wish I had a. I wish I had a worked out. I wish I had a spent time with my daughter. I wish I had a read the Bible. I wish I'd have gone fishing with my kid. I wish I'd have done these things. I'd wish I'd have started a business. I'd wish I'd have bought the investment property, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to live and I wish I had a life and look back, right? And knowing the only thing in between that misery of feeling that and the other alternative was probably just overcoming a little bit of fear.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and real quick too, I'd like to say, like, in those moments of where you're considering whether this is something I should do, or if you verbally committed it either to yourself or to another individual, take backing out of it off the equation. It's off the table. You may lose money, you may hate it, you may regret doing it, but you said you were going to do it. Now you have to live by that. You make a decision, you live by it, you get it done, and then after because that's the only way you can learn, all right, next time I'm not going to commit to something that I can't get done or that I don't want to do. And I think that's more like 2024 for me, is now I'm to the point where I'm saying yes to the things I want to do, and I'm saying no to the things I don't want to do.
You get clarity, massive clarity. Yeah, and massive clarity allows us to be much more effective. Yeah. No, I agree. I was thinking about that earlier. I had said something to my wife, and it was talking about being committed. But that's actually one of the causes of anxiety and chaos and depression in our lives, is not doing what we said we were going to do.
100%.
And a lot of times it really is as simple as like, hey, I'm going to read a book, or hey, I'm going to do this diet, or hey, I'm going to go for a walk, or hey, I'm going to make some changes. It's a national statistic that we're 2 weeks into the new year, and I think 90% of people have already failed their New Year's resolutions. It's being committed. And actually that's what I was thinking about earlier too, was there are two C words that really help you level up in life. It's commitment and consistency. Right?
I love that. Yeah.
If you're committed and you're consistent long enough, whatever it is, sales. If you suck long enough at fishing, you will catch a fish. But eventually, you'll start to go, maybe I can get a little better at it. Maybe I ought to read a book. Hey, maybe I ought to listen to a podcast. Maybe I ought to hire somebody to help. All those kind of things. So anyway, yeah, no, that's good stuff.
Yeah. I just think it's very important for people to pursue something. And if you decide to do it, like Nike, just do it. What it really means is, like, if you say you're going to do something, go do it. Finish it. And then you can talk about how bad it sucked.
Yeah.
But until you finish it, it's going to be easy. It's going to be the best thing. That's the mindset you have to have. You have to be in that frame so that you can get it done, laugh while you're doing it, even if you hate it. I've carried 20-foot shuffleboards upstairs. And then I'm walking up, and my guys are like, I don't know how we're going to do this. I'm like,
we ain't got no choice.
You get on that end, I get on this, and we'll talk about how we got it done at the end of it.
Right.
Like, we just create the movement.
Right.
We do it, we set action,
boom,
get it done. Then we can cry about it later.
Yeah.
That's I give credit to my father for that, because that's something like he taught me growing up is, if I said I was going to do something,
you had to do it.
It was tough. Like, I learned real quick, I have to be a man of my word. I have to do it, because if not, I got to deal with my father, and he's going to make me do it.
Yeah.
If I said I was going to do it. So now it's just something I'm grateful for.
That's cool. No, there's tremendous value in that for sure. Another thing you say all the time about that is run the red lights.
Yeah.
You always say if you're right there, run the red light.
Run the red lights. Yeah, it's something it's a philosophy that I've kind of like adopted, and I made it's kind of like easily to communicate this. But like, you get to a red light, you stop. You're at an intersection. You can turn left, you can turn right, you can go straight. And then you're waiting for the light to turn green. Well, maybe you turn right, maybe a car comes, maybe there's an intersection that you can't get through. I often say that the red light is the direction in which you should go. And so I say run the red light, because you want to go the hard route. If you have you can turn right and it's easy, or you can go straight and it's hard. But in order to go hard, you have to go through a red light, which may not necessarily be what would be naturally intuitive to do. Yeah. That's the direction you should go, because that's where the reward lies. It's something hard. You have to go against maybe something that is going to make you uncomfortable doing, that might have a little bit of risk. That's the direction you need to go.
I think that's key for anything in life, is we're going to have, in order to escape average or normal, it requires a certain level of discomfort and unknown. And that's where a lot of people quit. They go, I don't know how. And instead of being committed to figuring it out, like you were saying, be committed to figuring it out.
Yeah.
They go, it's just too hard. I'll quit. One of my favorite things I've learned in the last probably 2 years is don't quit. Let God do the quitting, right? A lot of times we talk ourselves out of opportunity because it's too hard for us. We give up on him, right? So it's not that he's given up on us, but we've given up on him, and we take the easy way out instead of being committed. And a lot of times in life, I wonder what that costs us, right? What does it cost us, right? You never know.
We will never know.
Never know. So, well, that's good stuff. You got anything else to add, Cameron? Let's ask for, if you had one tip, one piece of advice, what would you say to people?
I would say always choose the hard route.
Go
the hard direction. If you want to know if you're considering multiple options and you don't know which way to go, ask yourself which one's the hardest route. Choose that route, commit to it, go figure it out. And if you say you're going to do it, go do it, get it done, finish the job. And then if you want to go a different route, you can. But always look for the hard direction. I think that's always going to be the best outcome.
That's good. I love it. Well, thanks, guys, for being on. Thank you, Cameron, for being on the Kingdom Men Transfer Man Nation podcast today. Thank y'all for watching. Give us a like, follow, tag, subscribe, all the fun stuff. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, and Amazon. We appreciate you. Let's go do some winning. See ya.